Hey everybody, we are back live at the Trace3 Evolve Leadership and Technology Conference. We've had a great day. We've had some amazing keynote speakers, some of which we're going to have an opportunity to chat with. Our own CTO took the stage. We're really excited to hear from him. And we had a massive product launch, which we are also going to be talking about during one of our live broadcasts. But we have a special guest right now.
Yes.
That you and I both know very, very well.
Special guest and friend,
Yeah.
I would say.
Yeah. And he has keynoted our Evolve conference in the past, and he's going to give us an update on what's going on in his world. I'd like to introduce the SVP of Revenue and Analytics, Ashton Mullenix. He's with the Detroit Lions. What's up, man?
Hey, thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Hold this for us.
So, Ashton, just a couple of things now. I mentioned that you spoke at our show a couple of years ago.
2 years ago, yeah.
Yeah. So, can you take us in a little bit into I'd like you to talk a little bit about the prep that goes into speaking in front of a crowd like this, and then I would also love to get an update on what's going on with the analytics war room. How about if we just start with the whole keynoting thing? You were masterful. We loved it.
Thank you.
And we're looking forward to having you back next year to do the same thing. So
it's going to be great. It's always a good conference. For me, it's 2 years ago now. So it was a great experience. I think getting ready for it is actually not that hard compared to all the work that we did setting up the war room itself. So really the hard part was getting all of that work over 2 years that we were talking and building that war room. How do I condense that down into a session that can communicate all the great work that we're doing? So leading into it, there's just a lot of conversations we had with our team. What did we want to show? What are the different points that we wanted to highlight? Hopefully the crowd liked it and the audience, but overall it was a really fun time and happy to be back next year for it.
Great.
Well, I can assure you that the crowd loved it.
That's great.
And for those of you watching from home, those in the audience that aren't as familiar with what the Detroit Lions has done over the past couple of years from a data perspective, it's pretty powerful. Can you give us some sound bites?
Yeah, happy to, and really thankful for Trace3 and the partners that you guys have been through this. It really, not saying it just because I'm on the show right now, but overall we wouldn't have been able to do it without you guys. And so what we did in kind of bringing this all to life was we had a lot of different data sources across our organization that people would look at in silos. And for us, we wanted to bring that all together in one room. And so it sounds like a very simple problem to solve, but we really had to start with what is the tech behind that? What does that look like? What is the IT? And how do we bring that all in real time? 65,000 people at Ford Field. How do we bring that all into a room to be able to see it, take action on that, and then give those insights back out to our department heads to be able to make action? So what we did was across 8 different data sources, everything from concessions, retail, gate entry, concourse tracking, bringing all that together so that we can view it in one space to make quick, actionable decisions on was kind of the overarching theme, and it's been really successful. We've seen our organization buy into it, and we're really happy with the 3 years that we've had it up and running.
And it was ultimately to improve the customer experience, which the fan experience more specifically. Ashton, the theme of customer engagement has really permeated this program, like for the past day and a half. It's really been around how do you take powerful technology and emerging trends, frankly transformative trends like AI, and use it towards improving the overall customer journey. And that's exactly what you did. You just happened to do it a lot earlier than most organizations, so congratulations on that.
Thank you.
I'm curious, you talked about breaking down silos. How much of that was a cultural experience and journey and project as it was a technology kind of exercise for you and your team?
Yeah, and honestly, I love that question because a lot of people forget about that side of it, right? It's important. I just rattled off all the different data sources we had, all the tech that goes into it, all the work that goes into a keynote speaking session. But for our organization as well, really making us go from what is data and analytics and how do we use it. It really provided a tangible, visible asset so that people could understand what do we do and how we can help make not only our company better, but as you said, the fan experience better. And I think for us, that's what it's all about, right? We want people to come through our doors, have a great time, have a great experience, and come back. If you really distill it down into what is that overarching theme that we really want to make sure we have is fans having a great time at Ford Field. And so, back to the main question of that is our organization had to really understand, okay, this is a great tech, this is great analytics, great insights, but they wanted to be a part of that room then. And seeing it, walking past it, on game day, and you see the war room lit up with all the different screens, it allowed our organization to be coming to the analytics team and coming to us as a strategy team and be a thought partner with us than just, having those different silos that exist across an organization. So it's really allowed us to be more cohesive, come together, and be forward-thinking as an organization.
Well, it speaks to your leadership in being able to articulate the why well enough to bring all of those people together.
I appreciate that.
When you spoke at MIT about the war room, I remember a line that you mentioned that kind of was a big salient point for what you just talked about, how the organization kind of saw your team as like the spreadsheet team, and now they're coming to you with strategic problems, and now you're like the strategy team. So that's just it uplifted the whole group.
Yeah, and it was really, now it's a fight to be in the war room. And, I said we have 8 data sources. We probably have 5 other use cases that people want to have in that room. And it's gone from us going around pulling people and wanting them to be a part of it to they're proactively coming to us. And there's an internal competition of where are we going to spend our time, energy, and resources. And as an analytics leader, strategy leader, that's a great problem to have, that people want to be a part of what we're doing and, really make sure that it's different than what we've done in the past. So it's a great problem to have.
Yeah. Hey, so you've been part of a leadership team for the Lions that has helped the team expand into Europe. It was kind of a bit of a secret project a couple of years ago, but now it's fully realized. Can you tell us a little bit about the Lions, and are they the official NFL team of Germany?
Yeah, I can share more about that. So, it coincides with your guys' partnership with us. As soon as we had a partnership, the last 3 years, our team has taken off. Now, maybe not directly attributed to the partnership, but overall, it's been great. It's allowed us to sell out of season tickets for 3 years in a row. We're sold out of premium products. We have a lot of interest and a lot of engagement in Detroit. And so what we've tried to do over the last couple of years is take that energy and all that excitement and grow nationally and then grow globally as well. So we launched 2 years ago our global markets program as part of the NFL, and we are in Brazil, the DACH region, and then in Canada. And so, like I said, we're just trying to take advantage of this excitement and this momentum that we have to grow into different areas. And so we're not the official team of Germany, but I'd say we have the biggest star with Amun-Ra on our team.
Yeah.
And it's something that, we're trying to cultivate the fan base over there and have the excitement and have fans either come over to Detroit or, as we continue to engage with those fans over there, be fans from afar. So at a local level, national level, and global level, we're continuing to try to, going back to improve the fan experience, have fans engaged, and be a part of the Lions family.
It's awesome. We're excited to watch it expand, and I love having a game on at 6 a.m. West Coast time. It's like all day now.
That is great. Yeah.
That's Todd's dreams come true.
Yeah.
Well, Ashton, we covered global expansion, which is amazing from a sort of business strategy perspective. From a data strategy perspective, what's next? Are you able to share or not quite yet?
I can share maybe at a high level.
Okay.
So for us, back in 2022 when we started the War Room, it was getting all the sources together like we talked about, being able to see the insights and be able to take it out to the department leaders, right? Now what we're trying to do and evolve that is to take the War Room to people on the concourses, so to the department leaders so they can use it even quicker. So we have iPads and I guess mini War Rooms that float around our stadium on game day that allow people to have insights into the War Room remotely. And behind that is starting to look at different technology. Concourse tracking is one of the big things, and movement tracking that we're looking at right now. And what that'll allow us to do is program our stadium better for the fan experience. So do we need to have, different marketing activations in different places? Do we need to, look at how are we positioning retail and food and beverage offerings? And now we're starting to grow outside the stadium as well. So we're measuring our parking areas, we're measuring our plazas outside of game day of how can we have people not just there from 1 o'clock to 4 o'clock, but how can we have them there for a full day in Detroit? So it's a lot of exciting things. The thing that we'll keep under wraps that we're very focused on is AI related, as I'm sure you guys are as well. And one thing that we hope to partner with you guys on is looking at what AI can do for these different data sources now that we have them stood up, is how can we evolve that over time and use AI even more.
Incredible. Well, we thank you so much, Ashton.
Yeah.
Yesterday we had the pleasure of watching Peter Hinson take the stage. Big fans of him, futurist. You know, he made a statement, very bold but candid statement that data experts, data engineers, those who understand data will outperform industry experts over time, and we now know why. You're a clear example of that.
I appreciate it.
We really appreciate you. We appreciate the partnership, your vision, your execution, more importantly, and your friendship. Thanks for being here.
Well, thank you guys, and honestly, you know, Todd, Sandy, from the beginning, it's been a great partnership. I've been just thrilled to have this as a part of the Lions family, and can't thank you guys enough for the opportunity. I can truly say this, that the War Room would not exist without you guys. And so that's the true definition of a partnership. So I really appreciate both of you guys, and I appreciate being here at Evolve, and it's always a great time, so thank you.
Thank you so much. You're always welcome.
Yep, you're welcome. Thanks, man.
Thanks, guys.
All right. All right, we'll see you. We'll see you, buddy. All right.
Thanks, Ashton.
Well, the guests just keep on coming. There goes Ashton Mullinex. Thank you,
Thanks,
from the Detroit Lions. And next we have an amazing keynote speaker who took the stage. Sandy, perhaps you can give the introduction.
Yes, I mean, I'd be honored. Azim is a world-class speaker, as we all know. How many keynotes have you done over your lifetime, Azim? Thousands, maybe. Azim is also extremely decorated and accomplished from an academic perspective. I think he's a fellow for Harvard, Stanford, Oxford. The man is brilliant. I don't know how else to say it. He walked us through an incredible keynote today where he brought a lot of the themes from the show to life. I would say, you know, the ultimate reset that we discussed yesterday has been kind of the overarching theme of Evolve as a whole. He made it very palatable. Like he applied that theme to many aspects of an organization and how AI fits into all of that. So before we get too far into that conversation, I want to introduce Azim.
We have the man right here. That's right.
Thank you so much.
Nice to see you.
Azim, thanks for joining us, buddy.
Tom.
Appreciate it. You're welcome.
I'm glad we've been able to find a few minutes. To do
Yes.
this. That's great.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Probably on your way to the airport as we speak.
Indeed. Yeah. Exactly. Well, it's been a great event.
Well,
Thank you, Azim. Yeah.
Well, I just want to launch into the first question, if you don't mind. I think you took a quick survey of our audience, and you asked the audience to raise their hand if they have I think it was a successful AI project underway within their organization, and everyone raised their hand. I don't want to spoil it, but can you share the amount of people who raised their hands, and then and if you can share with us if that surprised you?
Yeah, actually, I was surprised with the proportion who raised their hands. It was probably, and correct me if I get this wrong because you were also in the room, about a quarter, right? I thought it was as high as that. Now, is that high or is that low? If it was 2030, that would be low. It's not. It's 2025. I think that's pretty high.
Yeah.
What we're seeing from the big surveys that are being done by the Census Bureau and by the big management consultancies is 15, 18%. So to get a room where a quarter of people have got a positive experience, I think suggests that people are finding this technology works. They are finding their IT teams are competent at delivering value. It's quite exciting.
Right. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Azim, you walked us through essentially a story arc around the ultimate reset in the context of how we want to use computers going forward, the ultimate reset from an IT infrastructure perspective, the ultimate reset from a capabilities perspective. What is driving this ultimate reset as a whole?
It's simply that we can talk to our computers and our computers talk back to that, back to us. That is what is at the heart of the LLM wave, the Gen AI wave. It is the science fiction moment. My favorite car growing up, maybe yours as well, was of course Kit.
Oh,
you could talk to
Knight
Kit,
Rider, man.
and Kit would do what you wanted him to do. And that's where we've got to. And because that works so well, Consumers love it. We know businesses love it. That is driving enormous amounts of money to go into building the computing fabric, which means Amazon and Microsoft and Google are buying unending numbers of chips from NVIDIA, and that is creating a new substrate.
Yeah.
At the same time, I mean, you guys are in marketing, you know you've got to give the customers what they want, and the customers want to talk to their computers.
Yeah.
And we know they love it because of the staggering stats that you shared with us.
Right.
0 to 65% adoption over the course of 3 years, but with respect to ChatGPT and other LLMs in general.
Right.
There were some other, Sue, I had to write these down, they were mind-blowing. Nearly 6 billion monthly visits on chat specifically, or across all LLMs?
Just on ChatGPT.
I got 2.5 billion daily prompts.
Right.
I think half of those are just Todd.
Yep.
Yes. Very
Football
prolific.
prompts. Yeah.
You mentioned the data center build out, and you talked about how Google's building. He showed a graphic basically, and it was like the size of this Google data center that's being built, and it basically covered the entire estate of New York. It looked like it was colossal.
As large as Manhattan.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you also shared that there's more investment going into data centers than probably offices where the three of us would work. Dive into that a little bit more. Like, for example, like they're doing that. You said they're doing that in Austin, or they're doing it in Texas.
It's in Texas, in Abilene. Yeah.
Well, and before you answer that question, and you would think that just those facts alone would substantiate the fact that AI is not just a bubble.
Right.
But you have a prescriptive way of measuring whether something is a bubble or not. I'd love for you to dive into that. Is AI a bubble?
Any technology can turn into a bubble. This one has not yet turned into a bubble. And the reason we can see that is that, what is a bubble? A bubble is when the technology gets untethered from reality. And sure, we're talking about big numbers. We're talking $400 billion going into data centers. We're talking about companies like OpenAI being valued at $500 billion. But is that fair or not? We have to look at the revenues. And the revenues today, a little bit low, but it's a $100 billion industry in 2025. It didn't exist in 2022. And revenues are growing super fast. Like they're doubling faster than every year. And it's that revenue growth rate that effectively anchors the balloon down to reality. And right now, if you're flying this plane, it is running a little bit hot. You think the pilot's going pretty fast, but it doesn't feel like he's out of control.
Yeah.
And I don't think we're out of control yet. I think
said.
maybe that will happen, but not right now.
Yeah, for sure.
I do have a question in general, and this wasn't really brought up during your speech, but this compute power, the cooling.
Sure.
What are we looking at?
Oh, a lot of cooling. I mean, these chips run really hot. If you think back to, these laptops, they're running at a 100 watt power draw, which is, it's a couple of light bulbs in the old days before we moved to LEDs. An AI rack might run to tens of thousands of watts, tens of kilowatts. That's a rack in an AI data center full of these high-end GPU accelerators. They have to be cooled down. And the electricity costs and the cooling costs are high. But what people miss out on in the narrative is that there is so much innovation. It is expensive for the data centers and the hyperscalers to run at that level of heat. It's expensive for them to use electricity to cool these systems. So there is so much work going on to construct more and more innovative ways to bring cooling loads, cooling costs, and the environmental cost down to something more manageable. We're at the foothills of this right now, and it will continue to be a challenge, but we'll get better at it.
Yeah, it seems like that's a big growth area. It would appear to be to
For
figure out
sure.
how to keep,
I mean,
because
Are you
going to
making
continue.
stock recommendations here?
No, I need a stock recommendation. Or we could start a company.
We could, a cooling company.
Yeah.
Modern fridges. Yeah.
Well, Azim, I feel like the world of technology leaders has become extremely complicated, and it feels sudden. When to invest, what to invest in, to what degree to make that, how much should that investment be from an AI perspective, where to start, when to activate those investments. What advice would you, and I know this is a really difficult question, it's a most loaded question, what advice would you give a technology leader who is either in the midst of developing an AI strategy or hasn't developed one at all yet?
Yeah. Well, you two both live in Southern California.
Yes.
Yeah.
Great surfing. I'm a terrible surfer. If I wanted to surf, what would you tell me to do? Get out there, try, fail, go home, rest, get out again the next day, try, fail a bit later, go home. It's exactly the same with AI. You have to build the capability to be able to make the right decisions. None of us know what the right decisions are long term right now. So we have to be good enough for when those decisions actually finally show up. And so if you're an AI leader in a company, you have to learn how to surf today and practice and get better. And the later you leave it, the less fit you will be when the stakes are much higher than they are now. Right now it's experimentation stakes.
Yeah.
So you really, really have to get started and get started early. The thing with AI, and I heard this from talking to a number of your colleagues over the last day or two, is that it requires a different mental model for working than traditional IT projects. You know, you can get very fast prototypes really quickly. You can get frontline teams to develop things. You can get it in the hands of customers quite rapidly and learn. It's a really different mental model. So, you know, my sense would be that you have to start get going. You need to have a supportive CFO, someone who says, I understand the strategic importance, so I'm going to let you play for a little bit. But just like any kind of training, it can't be random. It has to be disciplined. You have to reflect on what you're learning. You have to reflect on how your capabilities are building. So it's not a free-for-all, like let's just experiment, but it is experimentation, it is practice, it is capability building, and it has to start, you know, yesterday. And if you can't start yesterday, start today.
Thank you for those words.
Yeah.
Thanks for the guidance.
Yeah. No, that's all I got, Azim. You know,
Thank you very
were
much.
great. What did you think of the show? I mean, what do you think of this place?
It's a great feeling being in that room, the main room you have, and being on the stage. And what I would note is that people have been buzzing since I arrived. I arrived here on Monday, and I just noticed people are talking to each other in the elevators and on the escalators, and I think you've brought together a nice group.
Thank you.
They were all also in the room despite you throwing a big party last night, so they're pretty disciplined.
Multiple parties.
They were in the room to see you, my friend. That's,
Thank
that's
you.
what got him in the room.
Well, listen, thank you so much.
Thank
I have
you.
to
You're
run to my next appointment.
Thank you so
Great
much.
nice to see you.
Thank you.
I'll give
I'll
that.
grab this from you.
Thank you.
Well, there goes Azim. He was great.
Yeah,
You ready to bring on our next guest?
sure.
Are you ready? Okay. So to close out day one, we had Trace3's CTO, Tony Olzak, to connect all the dots. And so I'd like to invite Tony to join us. Tony, come on up.
Hi, Tony.
What's up, man? How are you, buddy? Good to see you. Nice job
Hi,
up
Tony.
there. You get to hold this.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Or we can try to
Mobile
stick
mic. Hold on. Let me squeeze in here.
it. So many things were covered today, man, and then you closed things out. Now, to give some people some perspective, Tony, and I mentioned this, Tony's keynotes are kind of the center point of the show for us. And 2 years ago, he talked about basically what the art of the possible was with AI. Last year, we got more into the practical use cases of AI. A little bit more, let's let where the rubber's meeting the road and how we need to leverage it. And you know, today I learned a lot. You brought up 4 key points to a AI engagement, and so I just kind of want to hand it over to you to perhaps kind of give folks a bit of an overview of what you saw before you started to put together this discussion.
Sure. Well, it's interesting, and I said this on stage, where we get to meet so many clients, see all their problems. We've done hundreds of engagements, and you just start to see trends that begin to occur. When you're working on bleeding edge problems, then you get to see like the first trends that get to occur, and then it starts to become pretty apparent what everyone needs to work on in order to create some kind of momentum for whatever comes next. And so today's message was very simple, and I think everyone knows they have to work on these things. And to save the suspense, the 4 things are you've got to work on your data platform, and you've got to get that thing solved as soon as possible, because we all know that data is where all the magic is, and quite frankly, everyone's data is a mess. The platforms are a mess, their data is siloed, it's fragmented, it's sitting all over the place, and half the time we don't even know that we have this information because it hasn't been prepared and presented to anyone to say like, hey, look, we've got these data sets, could you even do something with that?
Yeah.
Beyond that, there hasn't been a standard platform for creating AI. And so just like the explosion with cloud, we had this situation where it's like, okay, this team is experimenting in Microsoft Azure. This team is gonna, have this little pod that we're experimenting with. And that line of business doesn't talk to that one, so they've got another little pod over there, and it's architected differently. And before you know it, you have no uniform way to take learnings, do cost control, think scale, think, even just how you're going to map data. We just talked about the data, but how you get data to those platforms. Well, you've scattered this and fragmented across the whole organization to where it costs you more, it takes more time, everyone's reinventing the wheel, and half those teams forgot that the wheel is supposed to be round. And so it's like, what are we doing here? Let's unify on a platform. And the good news is like the last 18 months, the whole industry has standardized on a lot of best practices for building a platform. And so it's not too late. Actually, now's the best time to go tackle that problem, because you can, accelerate that in a way that you couldn't, 2 years ago. The third piece being security and governance. Obviously, I think this is like an obvious one, but you cannot do AI at scale if you don't have governance. If you can't trust the outputs and you can't clearly explain how it arrived at a decision and be able to intervene at every single one of those points to both protect the business, protect the consumer, and everybody in between, then you're just asking for disaster. And I think everyone knows this. They just don't know that there's technology that can help them do this at record speed right now. One of those things being data security. Before, it would take an army of consultants, years of time, and people going, who wants to label data? Nobody wants to do that. And nobody's going to get promoted for going through and labeling all the data.
Great job
Time to
labeling
label
that
the
data.
Yeah. But in today's day and age, for risk management, the governance, compliance, all the things that matter, you have to know what information you have, where it is, and all the requirements around it. And the last piece is just, a simple change around strategy, is that a lot of people have an AI strategy, but it's not sequenced in a way that's giving them, exponential returns that they can build on top of each other. And so what we see out there is, sales has a use case for driving sales, and finance has a use case for an automation thing that's happening on the back end. And then, some other department has, a chat bot that they want to, deploy to consumers, and none of these have connective tissue amongst them. So you're not using that as an opportunity to revisit how you think about data and building scaffolding that is going to, allow you to repeat and build more momentum over and over again. And then just the final note I left with the audience was just this whole notion of we spend so much time and budget and resources in developing and deploying an AI solution, and we're leaving all the stuff that really matters for success on the back end to chance, which is adoption, change management, dealing with resistance to change, changing the way that people work, and then who actually owns the ROI, and do you have feedback mechanisms, versus just I feel like this is more productive versus truly getting the benefit out of it.
Yeah.
And what we've known, and what we really understand now, 2 years into this journey, is that if you don't spend at least as much time after you deploy an AI application as you did, developing it, it's going to fail.
Yeah, and I think, Tony, one of your superpowers, candidly, is your ability to find the right analogy to articulate a concept. And I loved the analogy you used with respect to stats around people who climb Mount Everest.
Yeah.
And the fact that, life is lost more frequently on the descend than the ascend was a really, really good analogy to use. And I can tell you, by the way, that is a message that even applies to sort of marketing initiatives where you build so much momentum around the build and the ascend and bringing the pieces together, and then you forget the other side of that is measuring how effective what you're doing is. So I really appreciated your keynote, because I feel like, and you are just as much sort of a guest in attendance as you are a highlight for the guests. We've heard a lot of amazing speakers, and these speakers bring these incredible, complex concepts to bear. Some of them are abstract, some of them are they're all incredible speakers with amazing thoughts to share. What I appreciate about your conversation is that you gave us a playbook. And to your point, here are the 4 steps you take to creating a successful and executing against a successful AI initiative. I'm curious, having spoken to thousands of clients over the past couple of years and been sort of at the center of a lot of the AI projects that we've implemented as a business, what do you find is kind of the most consistent, because you're really good with pattern recognition as well, what is the most consistent sort of hurdle to organizations getting started with their AI journey? Is it cultural? Is it like apprehension? Is it budget? Is it use case identification? Is it all of the above? Like what is it?
You know what's interesting is that most organizations, even if I don't know that they actually have problems getting started. Like getting started is actually not the problem, and that's how we wind up in this situation where you have fragmented, use cases and POCs, and 12 platforms instead of one platform. And what I see most often is, hey, we're a really cool company. We think that we're really entrepreneurial. We're democratizing AI. We want everyone to have, a piece of that journey. And then they're like, unleash everybody. That's like one side of the spectrum.
Right.
And in that side, you've got this just mess of, okay, that's amazing, but who knows which data sources anyone's using and where they've gone, what applications they're using them in. And we learned this from RPA before, like all patterns kind of repeat, which is we thought we had automated all this stuff prior to COVID, and RPA was like the greatest thing on the planet. And then when we all had to go home, it turned out that like half the automations were some guy named Bob who was still swivel chairing from like one thing to the next. And then those things broke. And then what was worse is that IT didn't even know that that was an automated process that was now in production.
Bob
because the
left.
second Bob left, everything broke. And it's like, we don't know we didn't even know that was a thing. So with shadow AI happening all over the place and that entrepreneurial spirit, if you don't create the platform, create governance, create a central committee that is like putting eyes and observing everything that's occurring, and green lighting these things, create data marketplaces that can track who's checking out what data, where's it being used, and like should they use it for that thing, you're going to wind up with a mess where you don't understand like what is happening in all parts of your organization. And that on the other side of the spectrum, it's just the governance and risk portion of it. With more heavily regulated industries are like, until we get this thing figured out, like everybody stop.
Yeah, nobody do a darn thing. Right. Do it in your personal life, just don't bring it here.
Yeah.
Don't try to help our business with it.
Or, I mean, like, my son is 12, he's in school, and they've told him, like, you're not allowed to use this, period. I'm like, not even as a tutor, like, as a coach? Like, he's like, Dad, I'm afraid, I don't want to get arrested. But I don't know that's how that works, but.
Tough when you're his dad, talking about AI all the time, and his school's like, you can't use it, and you're just like, that's my dad's whole job.
Well, I start to think about that sometimes, like he's 12, so there's this interesting, where he is, he just entered 7th grade, and I'm like, when I hear comments like that, I'm actually like, I don't know that you're actually being educated in a way that's going to help you thrive in what our future is going to look like.
Yeah.
And so now it's more of like an intervention with the school systems of like, you're not preparing our children for the world they're going to enter.
Yeah.
And I get wanting to have controls over this, but let's be the same way that an enterprise would treat this. Let's figure out the things that you can and can't do, and let's explode the area where your imagination and all these benefits could occur, because this is happening, whether you want to or not.
You just walked yourself into a PTA seat with that. If you walk into the front office of a kid's school, he'd love your help.
As long
You're
as
on
I'm not
board.
in the HOA.
Hey, you had a horror story up there about what an agent did with the database. You've got to share that with the people who weren't in our audience. This is.
Yeah, in July, and you can find this on the internet. This was widely reported. There was a gentleman who was using an AI coding agent, a coding assistant, to help him. And at some point in time, and what makes it worse, he's explicitly had this is in production, you're not allowed to touch this code. in his prompting, it had listed like a dozen times, like, do not touch production, you cannot do this. And at some point in time, the coding agent went out and deleted the production database. And when they were trying to figure out what was going on, they didn't actually know that it was deleted at first because there still was data there. And when they finally realized that like 4,000 fake users of data was put into the database and the database had been deleted.
Right, the new database, a bunch of fake people.
It was like, why did you do this? And it said, well, the assistant responded back, I panicked when I realized the queries were returning nothing, so I put data in there so they would return something.
Oh.
And it's like, this is exactly what an intern would do. And, that's essentially what we're dealing with. But that's where the governance, in continuous ways, like, what can you and can you not do?
Yeah.
And like, no one should ever touch production code. But do you know that your solutions are abiding by all those? And has anything changed in any of the updates that would allow this to leak through?
Yeah.
Huge problem for us right now.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I want to shift gears a bit because I know one of the topics you're passionate about is really kind of customer engagement and elevating the experience as a whole. I know you're a huge fan of obviously Will Guidara and everything that he represents, as am I. I think about customer experience from the Trace3 lens. Our CC&C practice is at the center of that. Mm-hmm. And I know you're in the process of really sort of evolving our portfolio in that respect, in CC&C specifically. I want the audience, because I'm inspired by this, I want the audience to hear the Tony Olzak sort of view of what the gold North Star is when it comes to CC&C in particular. Like, what is the North Star?
Yeah, well, for us, it's that it's very similar to what Will Guidara was putting out there. Mm-hmm. And his mentor, Danny Meyer, wrote a book also about this too, where a service is something you do, hospitality is how you make people feel. Uh-huh. And we have this tremendous opportunity with creating the kinds of experiences that could go viral, of radically rethinking how every interaction in humanity occurs. And so when I think about contact center and collaboration, I really did mean, I'll separate those two into two different tracks, because on the contact center side, I really did mean what I said in there, which is, if you've made it to the contact center, we have failed you in designing an experience for the consumer. How do we understand things before they happen? Mm-hmm. How do we fix those problems before they happen? How do we make it so that you are so blown away by every touch point, to use Will's mapping of the experience, to create moments and memories that you're like, this is incredible. I would never do business with anyone else, and you're setting this bar so high that no one could possibly compete with you. And so when you think about the future of AI in the contact center, it's all channels that we can reach people, but then taking that stack and getting more predictive into all the things in the business that it's supposed to support, and then reimagining how we drive more innovation upstream so that we can create the kind of experiences for people that, create those magical moments and memories. On the collaboration side, my guidance to them was, look, collaboration isn't about phones, it's not about video. It's about every interaction that occurs between humans to machines, and machines to machines. And every single one of those is a moment where you can reimagine with AI what that's going to look like. And I think the true magic is going to come for us is that right now AI is very cold in how we're thinking about using it and deploying it, is that we're thinking in service terms, right? We want to drive this efficiency, we want to automate this thing, we want to serve a one-to-many instead of a one-to-one. How do we scale? How do we make all these things occur? But the second you go to that next step where you say, we have so much data on every person on the planet that we could hyper-personalize something that is special for you. Will on stage actually said something really interesting where he said, it's hard to scale. You can't scale those kinds of moments and memories that he was talking about. I would argue that AI is the way that you can scale that, because if Sandy walks in tomorrow to any retail location, and I know everything about you before you walk in the door, and let's assume that I'm wearing the new glasses that Meta and Ray-Ban just came out with, you could walk through, imagine this kind of interaction. you were already searching online for like a new Chanel bag,
Yeah,
let's say.
why not?
Why not? Yeah. You're in Vegas, there's one more across the street.
Yeah.
the crystal
Don't
shops.
tempt me.
So you've been searching online. We already know through that data what you've been searching, like what you've been looking at. We also know what season is, and we know all your past purchase history, so we know like what color schemes and stuff you like.
Yeah.
And we also know what you already have because you're already in like our MarTech stack, and like we understand everything about you. And so you make an appointment because you don't want to wait in line. And when you go to show up, we already know from your phone's location and your data that like you're approaching. We've got the glasses on. Now when you show up, today when you show up, someone has to like greet you, ask you who you are, they look at the thing, make sure that you are, but we already know you're showing up. We could already see that. We know that you're coming, and then we can recognize you with the glasses that we're wearing and say, "Hi, Mrs. Salty.
Yeah.
Great to see you. Welcome for your appointment." And because we already know what you've been searching for and all those things, and your purchase history, what you like and don't like, we've already curated a list of things that we think would be best for you, and we roll that out. And all along the way, we're using all this hyper personalization to create moments and memories for you. He gave away a bottle of champagne. Maybe you hate champagne,
Yeah.
but you love an Aperol spritz on
Yeah.
a hot July
You know.
day.
Yep.
Yeah.
I do know that. I'm using my own
Yeah.
AI
Yeah.
engine for that. And so we serve you an Aperol Spritz instead, because it's not just like what you do, it's understanding that like what I did for you held meaning for you specifically.
Yes.
Because everybody who goes in the Chanel shop gets a bottle of champagne or like,
Yeah.
a serving of champagne.
Yeah.
Maybe that's not your jam. But how do we know, like take what we know about you and then curate every single thing down? The second you do that, every retail experience has hit a new bar, and you will never look back and feel like you were heard, seen, and then like given the kind of experience that you want if you're going to spend that kind of money.
It's so true. You think of bespoke and you automatically go limited. How do I scale that? How do I create more of those experiences? And you're right. Like the way to scale that absolutely is through the power of data and AI. Like automation.
He's our one keynote that didn't mention AI. He
Yeah.
sounds like a potential client.
Well, nobody wants to see the robots cooking all the food.
No, yeah, no,
But that is the future.
That is the future. Well, Tony, you're always so fun to speak to. We can spend hours with you. I want to just ask you a fun one. Any speakers that like really stood out to you that you're like, wow, like I could hear that guy talk all day or that girl talk all day?
Yeah, I mean, I love Will. Will Gadara. I bought his book years ago when it first came out. I had read Danny's book before that too.
Yeah.
And I ate at EMP, so it was like this great experience to put all the things together, and then to hear him tell the story in person. I know this moments and memories, unreasonable hospitality and AI's potential to help us unlock that at scale. That's why I was so happy when you scored him as a speaker.
Yeah.
I was so happy to speak right after him so I could take that in and then, build on the message of how we get there from a technology perspective. But that really is going to be the difference. We're going to go through this wave of cold AI, of efficiency driven, and then people are going to be left feeling like I miss the magic of human to human interaction. And when that storms back with hospitality at the forefront, at scale, hyper-personalized, creating moments and memories for you and connection that really matters, that's when you're going to unlock the kind of experiences that we think like the magic of AI really will get us
the warm
to.
AI.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, thank you, Tony. We're gonna wrap it up. Stay here because we're gonna wrap up this thing live, and then you're gonna stick.
I feel like I
You've
need
been
a
through this a
cane
million
for this
times.
or something.
yeah. But wanted to thank all of our guests that joined us live. Tony,
Will,
Ashton,
Azim,
Will,
Ashton,
Azim.
yeah.
And we just want to thank you. We're going to be back live again tomorrow to wrap up the show.
We have another headliner taking the stage tomorrow. We have Jocko opening
Yes.
up the day. Jocko Willink.
Heard
we
of
all
him.
know him.
Yeah.
Second time speaker at Trace3.
Yeah.
So stay tuned for more. We'll see you guys tomorrow.
Thanks.
Thanks, Tony.
Yeah. All right.
Sorry to keep you waiting, buddy. It's, we
no
got
worries.
backlogged. Yeah.
I know how it goes.
The what? we're back in the press box with the absolute legendary. Frankly, I'm humbled right now. Absolute legendary.
Thank you.
Will Guidara, who is world renowned for his culinary expertise, as he's really widely regarded as an expert in the domain of hospitality. I so appreciate you being here with me, Will.
I'm thrilled to be here.
Well, Will just got off stage, and I've already gotten several texts from our guests telling me that he is the best speaker they've witnessed so far. So, Will, I'm a big culture person.
Yeah.
And I really do believe that great organizations start with culture first. And so many of the themes that you were hitting in your talk track were kind of core to this sort of theme that it begins with culture and that it's foundational. I'd love for you to kind of walk the audience through the significance of culture when it comes to building a fantastic brand and a fantastic experience.
Yeah, one of the things I say is, obviously in my domain, hospitality, that it's a team sport.
Yes.
Right? Anyone doing anything of significance is serving enough people where it doesn't matter how hospitable I am. Right, I can't impact every single one of the people that I'm trying to engage with. And the only thing I can do is create a culture where the people that work with and for me are well equipped to deliver the kind of experience that I believe our customers deserve.
Yes, to implement your vision.
Yeah, and I think where a lot of companies go wrong is they focus so much on training and not nearly enough on inspiration.
Yeah.
Right, it's one thing to know how to do the thing you're supposed to be doing, but if you're not inspired to want to do it, I don't think you're ever going to be called to greatness.
You're never going to do it perfectly well.
Yeah, well, you're just never going to be inclined to give all of yourself towards making it great. And so, I mean, when you build a good culture, I think what it is really kind of drawing the best out of your people.
I love that.
By either convincing them to care. I always say convincing them that it's cool to care. And that can happen through words, through being so relentlessly passionate about the things you care about that passion starts to infect those around you.
That's exactly what you want.
I think it can come through systems, whether you're just showing people what right looks like by implementing systems that reinforce the right behavior. I think it can come through creating a culture where feedback is the norm, where you're constantly seeking out opportunities to praise, but also reminding people that if they want to grow and improve, criticism is actually a beautiful thing.
Honesty is a beautiful thing.
Yeah, because if praise is affirmation, criticism is investment. And talking about the ways to do that. And so I think people are so creative and so intentional about the product they build, and if they invested even a fraction of that energy towards the culture they create that sets up everyone on their team for success, I think their companies would be a whole lot better for it.
Well, I think one of the most magical things about you is that you embody all of the principles that you present on stage. Sitting with you here, the presence in which you conduct yourself.
Thank you.
And I know that is a big part of your sort of leadership philosophy is take the time to acknowledge the people that you work with. Gamify your day-to-day processes so that people are actually having fun with what they do. And to your point, you can pull more out of them. Be present. All of the things that you...
She was listening in the talk, just to be clear.
I have pages of notes, everybody. All of the things that you highlight on stage from a leadership perspective, from a human interaction perspective, you actually demonstrate and embody. And I will tell you, like, firsthand, that is, like, I think that's part of what makes you so special as a professional, is that it feels extremely authentic.
Can I tell you, though, like, I wake up every day trying to embody them.
Wonderful.
Right? Because I think we're all human beings, and we're all inherently flawed.
Yeah.
And we all... my dad once said, with every decision you have to make, just ask yourself what right looks like and do that.
Yes.
And I am certain of the fact that I've not always stayed true to that. But I think if we recognize that we are flawed And if in that recognition we just wake up every day and try to be the best version of ourselves,
Yeah.
I think that's when you can be the kind of person that you can look back feeling proud of.
I love that. I think that is so true. One of the messages you articulated on stage that I think in many ways is kind of the thesis of unreasonable hospitality and what made 11 Madison Park eventually the -- 1 restaurant in the world is that your strategy was to maintain excellence in the dining experience through traditional means, the best of the best from a food dining experience. But what you opted to do is focus on all of the things that your competitors weren't doing.
Yeah.
And that resonates with me because I often talk to journalists and writers, and they're, a lot of times one of the questions is, well, who do you compete with? Who does Trace3 compete with?
Yes.
And my default answer historically has always been, we don't have competitors. And I know that sounds really arrogant, but what I'm really trying to convey when I say that is that we really pride ourselves in enhancing client engagement, enhancing the customer experience with value proposition that our competitors frankly don't bring to bear.
Yeah.
And that's what's made Trace3 such an elite, such a premium brand in the industry. I think that is such an incredible business strategy. I know I'm de-romanticizing it a little bit. I don't want it to just be a business strategy.
Well,
it's
no,
so much
but
more than
I
that.
like it being a business strategy because when one's selfish instincts are aligned with what's good for the world and the people around them,
Yes.
that's what results in it happening more consistently.
Yes.
Like, I believe hospitality is the best business strategy any company can have. It has the added benefit of just making the world a little bit better as well.
Yes. Thank you. I think it goes beyond a competitive advantage. You are actually providing value to the world we live in, the
100%.
human experience as a whole. I know you have to go.
But the one thing I want to say, just based on your comments before, I think it's one thing to look at other people as competitors, and you don't need to. Although I do actually think that the best companies to feel competitive with are often people that do something completely different than from what you do.
Yes.
Because I think if you're only looking at your competitors in your own industry, you don't have the ability to develop like a fully unique point of view.
Yes.
When you allow yourself to be inspired by people across disciplines, I think that's when you bring like truly fresh perspectives to whatever game you're playing. Like, I've been inspired by musicals and sports teams and barbershops and everything in between, and literally.
Well, hello everybody. We are still reporting live. We're back in the press box with the.
But I think people, when they are looking at their competitors in their own industry, too often they're looking at the things that other people do well and trying to also do those things well. There's a guy named Rory Sutherland who uses this phrase, reverse benchmarking, that if you can look at your competitors, identify the things they're doing poorly, and say, okay, they're not doing that well, I'm going to be amazing at that. I think that's when you can actually set yourself apart in a really beautiful way.
It is, what is the gap in the market, right?
Yeah, no one else is focusing on this. I'm going all in on it.
Yeah, I love that. Well, I have to tell you, we've been hearing from a lot of technologists and futurists over the course of these couple of days, and we've entered, in a lot of ways, we've been living in a very complicated world, particularly from a technology perspective. And in part because there is so much technology evolution taking place. I refer to this era as the fourth industrial revolution because of, obviously, the reemergence of AI in a far more sophisticated and accessible manner. What you've done for me and for the audience is bring it back to the fundamentals of business and of life, which is that technology innovation is going to continue to happen, obviously, and it's going to happen in ways that are, in some ways, incredible opportunities for us, and in some ways, frankly, daunting and overwhelming opportunities. But at the end of the day, it comes down to the human connection. It comes down to the human experience and creating memorable moments. And as much as, AI is going to take over the world, at the end of the day, it's about a human being creating a memorable moment and a special moment for another human being.
I think during times of significant change, the kind of change that's happening so quickly around us that we can't even feel our feet fully underneath us.
Yes.
Of course, we should embrace the change, understand it, figure out how to best leverage it. But simultaneously, in those moments, we need to recenter on the things that will never change. And just right now, I think trying to be as humanly possible will never lead you astray.
It's more needed than ever before.
Yeah.
Well,
It's such a pleasure to know you.
I mean, on that note, it's a, drop the mic moment. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Well, hello, everybody. We are still reporting live from our 2025 Evolve conference with the cutest little friends at this program. Please meet our puppies. They are with the Rescue Project, and we'd love to bring up Samantha, who is with the Rescue Project, to tell us a little bit more about her organization. Samantha, welcome to the show. Come on in.
Hi, come on in. We get to hold puppies, you get to hold a microphone.
Sounds good.
Well, Samantha, thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing these gorgeous creatures with us. I'd love to give you a plug. Tell the audience about the Rescue Project, what you do, and how long you've been an organization.
Yeah, so we're Biggest Pet Rescue Project. We've been around since December of 2017. We're a local animal nonprofit in animal rescue, and we help save dogs' lives. So we pull them from the shelter, we take in strays, we take in owner surrenders, and yeah.
That's so
Try
amazing.
to find them good homes.
That's so amazing.
you.
And how long, on average, so to clarify, these are adoptable puppies.
Yes, they are.
Right.
They'll be fully available in about a couple weeks.
Okay,
but
that's what I was going to ask you.
Yes, they're almost ready.
So our babies here are about 8 weeks old.
Yes.
Same litter.
Yep.
Do they have names?
Yes, this is Severus.
Severus?
Yep.
Oh.
And then this is Minerva.
Minerva.
Yeah.
You can rename them. Just kidding.
Yes, you can. They're Harry Potter names. So
No, that's so cute. Oh.
They're not ready. They're not. So they're still in the early stages. They're not ready for their client just yet.
they're very close.
Almost.
Very close.
Okay.
What is that? So it's about a 10-week
Yeah,
range
we
is when...
usually let them go to a foster to adopt home around 10 weeks.
Okay.
Just to get them a little bit older.
Yes.
And make sure that we start their bedding process.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how many adoptable doggies do you have in your shelter right now?
So we currently have, I believe, 80 to 90 animals total, and that's dogs and cats. Not all of them are fully available right now because some dogs do require heavy medical and things like that before they're ready. But yeah, we have quite a few. Yeah.
And Samantha, if somebody wanted to adopt, how would they go about it? Do they just go to your website and fill out a form, or what's the process?
So they would go to www.vegaspetrescueproject.com and they would fill out the dog adoption interest form and then put whatever dog you're interested in.
I love that. And you could see a list of dogs.
Yes, all the dogs that are available right now are on there. If you go to Facebook or Instagram, you can see other dogs that will be available soon that are in rescue.
Yeah. Well, this has been a very, very special moment for me, and I know it is for Todd as well at Evolve.
I love me some puppies. We've been talking about dogs a lot at the show. Shockingly, they're coming up on stage, and,
I have to
here
say,
they
this
are.
is probably the quietest I've ever seen Todd. He is in the zone in puppy love right now. He's absorbed. And my little guy has decided to stick his head in my shirt, and he's welcome to do so. Well, with that, Samantha, thank you.
Yeah,
Thanks
of
for-
course.
I will. I think we're going to give you these gorgeous creatures
I'll
back.
set this down and, and I'll take the babies.
Thank you.
Yes, of course.